Hello, this is Story Wilson with RSW Solutions. This is an L322 Range Rover. We're looking at the left front corner, and today we're going to go over some of the steps to replace the left front air spring on the L322 Range Rover. My air spring is about 95,000 miles on it, and it decided to begin leaking. Some of the warning signs, you'll actually see the corner of the vehicle drop. You'll hear a hissing noise. And the fault code associated with this problem is also you'll get too much energy required to maintain the height. That's one of the fault codes. And it's time to replace it. Now for some reason the left front always goes bad before the right does. But I'm going to replace both today, and I'll show you some of the steps. So first thing we're going to do, we've jacked this vehicle up. I've actually removed the fuse for the air suspension computer. And we've jacked the vehicle up, and it's on jack stands, and we're going to remove this wheel. With the left front tire removed, you can see more clearly what we're going to be working on. The air spring is located in the center of your field of vision here, and we're going to start the procedure for removing it. Now again, we've disabled the air suspension computer by removing fuse 57 in the glove box compartment. You'll also notice that the air spring is already depressurized. So it's important. So in my case, I had a severe enough leak where my air spring was already depressurized. You will need to depressurize your air spring if it still has air pressure inside of it before you remove any of the lines and attempt this work. We're going to begin by freeing up the ABS wheel speed sensor, the left front brake caliper hose pipe, and the left front ABS brake pad wear sensor from the strut. We're also going to then proceed to remove the roll bar link and some of the strut bolts from the base of the strut and inside the engine bay as well. So here in the shot you will see these are the brake hose, the ABS wheel speed sensor, and the wear sensor on the brake pad. These need to be removed from the strut. Here's the roll bar bolt, and here are some of the bolts on the strut itself we'll be removing. We'll also get up underneath in the engine bay to remove the bolts that secure the top of this air strut. You'll notice the construction, I'll show you later, but here's the airbag. It's completely deflated, just completely loose. And here is the actual strut, the gas strut. And those two pieces we'll be removing out of the vehicle as one unit, and we'll be separating those units later on. To remove the anti-roll bar, what we've done, we have a 18mm open-ended wrench. On the back side, there are some flat areas on the anti-roll bar ball joint spindle where you can get that 18mm open-ended socket in there. And I've got an 18mm socket, and we're going to see if we can crack it here. Shouldn't be too difficult. Actually, no, it's not very difficult at all. We can use a regular ratchet. Anti-roll bar removed from the strut. Went ahead and put the bolt back, the nut back on there just for safekeeping. Now we're going to remove this top strut bolt from the hub. We use two 22mm sized wrenches. One is a socket, and one is a closed-ended wrench. Right here, and right here. And we'll see what kind of pressure it takes to move this guy. Quite a bit. So I'm going to spray some penetrating fluid on that, and we'll probably break out the windy gun. Some penetrating fluid on these bolts. And we'll come back in about 15 minutes. We've given the penetrating well some time to work in, and we're going to try this again. Hopefully we can make some purchase on this. So there we go. And that's going to take some time to get this off. But at least I made some progress on that one. Yep. Alright, we've got these bolts undone. These two bolts and these two major pins here. And we can release the bottom of the strut away from the hub. and careful not to let the hub drop away and pull the brake caliper line. You don't want this brake caliper line to hold any of the weight of the hub. So make sure you put something underneath this hub to keep it from going too far forward and putting stress on this brake caliper line. Next, we're going to remove the 3 bolts that hold the top of the air strut into the frame of the car. We're using a 16mm socket, and we'll remove those 3 bolts carefully and taking care to not let the air strut drop down quickly. We're just going to loosen these up, and then we're going to go back underneath into the wheel well and pull the entire strut assembly out of the wheel well. We removed the 3 bolts holding the air strut into the engine bay. Remember, we've also undone these bolts, undone the anti-roll bar, freed up these lines, supported the hub with a jack stand. Now we're going to see how difficult it's going to be to remove this air strut so you can see the air line. So we're going to gently push the air strut back towards the engine a little bit here and see if we can pull the hub towards us a bit to free it off the hub. There it comes. Careful with these lines. It is a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Probably weighs about 35 pounds. Slowly bring it down. We can see the airline. Now we're going to remove this airline. To remove the high pressure line, you take a 12mm open-ended wrench and simply begin to unscrew this fitting here. And there it is. Leave the hose inside the fitting. Do not remove the hose, otherwise it probably won't ever seal quite right again. And make sure that stays clean. We're going to remove the strut and give it a good cleaning and give it a good examining. So here we have the entire air strut assembly that's been removed from the L322 Range Rover. The replacement is identical to how we just removed it, so just reverse all the procedures. Make sure that when you do replace the air strut, you torque all the bolts to the proper specifications. Make sure that you really pay attention to the torque specifications on the hub bolts at the bottom of the air strut. I believe they're about 180 or 190 foot-pounds. Very tight. Then you should not have to have the suspension aligned. This vehicle really on the front only has a toe adjustment. There is no camber adjustment on the front of the L322 Range Rover. So if you assemble everything correctly, you won't really have to worry about an alignment. But do make sure that when you do reassemble and put in the air strut, that there's some pressure inside of it. Do not lower the vehicle weight back down onto a completely deflated air strut. So make sure to see some of the other videos. Next I'm going to show you how to recondition your air strut. If you purchased just the air spring portion, you'll have to recondition it, reassemble this. But if you just purchased a refurbished air strut, you'll just put your refurbished air strut right back into the vehicle and send this one back for a core. And that pretty much sums it up. Hopefully it's not too difficult. This was the first time I attempted this job, and it really wasn't too hard. So hopefully you can do this yourself too. Thanks.